Right, good morning. This is called One Line of Code, 1 hour a day, 1 client a week. So what I'm going to go through, this image that I found is obviously relating taking candy from a baby. And I'm going to talk about one specific thing, which is a software product called Candy that we use in our business. The spelling is C-A-N-D-D-I. And it's a visitor intelligence tracking tool that allows you to know who's using your website in more detail than you can get from other products like Google Analytics and those kinds of things. I am going to pick on people if they are in the room. I can see Steph over there. Is Nicola here? Nicola Jones? Can't quite see. Okay. I'm going to do most of this through the browser, so I am reliant on Wi-Fi connections and all kinds of excuses. I really need to make them. So this is what I see every morning when I log into Candy. And what this tells me is who has been on my website today, yesterday, and you can see if that one that's selected, this guy called Peter Moon, has been on our website, he's been doing something, as has Steph yesterday. Were you downloading stuff and doing things, or do you remember? Okay, so we'll look at this. So let me just take you through a couple of things in PowerPoint, and then I'm going to switch back to this in a second. So what we're talking about here is a degree of marketing automation. And marketing automation is the idea of saving time by you not having to do things. At the simplistic level, if somebody becomes a client of yours, you could trigger a series of emails from something like MailChimp that once a week for 5 weeks will send them things about what you'd like them to do to you. Or if you've got somebody who downloaded a booklet off your website or a white paper, you can create a series of emails once a day for 5 days that tells them how to get the best out of that document they've downloaded. Right? And simple products like MailChimp, things like Pardo and HubSpot are in the hundreds of dollars or pounds a month. MailChimp starts at $29 a month or something. So with all of these things, it's about what you do with them, obviously. So why do you automate these things? And here's some example from MailChimp of what you can do. Okay, a specific calendar day. So if you know there's a birthday or an important date. So how about exporting the transaction date that the person's conveyancing property matter closed, and in a year's time, automating an anniversary email with a click through to a free card on Moonpig or something. Okay, so all these things are possible with some simple marketing automation. Obviously, you could just do it straight out of Connect and those kinds of products as well. So what's the one line of code? For the geeks in the room, this is the line of code. Okay, once you've got a Candy account, and I always like to put these kind of things in perspective. Who's got a really good idea of the number of visitors to their website in a month? Anybody want to throw a number out? Some of you should know. If you're my clients, you've looked at Google Analytics hopefully recently. Steph, any idea? Okay, doesn't matter. If it's less than 1,000 visitors a month, you pay £99. If it's less than 5,000 visitors a month, you pay £199. If you get 50,000 visitors a month, it's price on application. But this stuff is not expensive, but that's not the problem. The key is what you do with it once you've got it. There is obviously a rude joke there somewhere if I really thought about it. So you get a line of code like this from Candy, and you get it embedded onto your website. And from the day you add the tracking code, this software will track Nick's computer. All right? Now, at the point where it starts tracking Nick's computer, it is using cookie technology. Your privacy policy has to be updated to say, we track you at the individual user level, your first name, last name, and potentially your email address. We don't sell your data, yada, yada, yada. Whoever reads a privacy policy on a website? We just don't do it nowadays, do we? The box is you do it? Sad. Who clears their cookies once a week on their computer? Anybody? Geeks? The rest of us just accept that the internet knows where we are every minute of the day. And if my wife ever works out how to use her computer, she'll know where I am most days because she'll be following. Actually, she might be anonymously following me on Twitter, I thought the other day, because there was a kind of account that made sense for something in our lives. Not that I mind if she did. So the issue with that will be that we can track, using this kind of code, exactly what's going on our site. So we get this code, we load it to our website. Now at this point, for the next week, I do not know who Nick is. I just know it's a computer. But every single one of your computers will be tracked separately if I can get you to come to my website. So let's assume we're all doing fantastic marketing that gets people to our website. And we'll talk about some specifics in a second. You can also embed trackable URLs into email marketing, and that's where it links up a bit with that marketing automation. So who is doing some kind of email marketing to their clients? Tanya, half a finger up maybe? Not really. Okay, it's one thing when we go out with clients, we always say, you should do more of it. And what do you go? We haven't got any email addresses, David, or we've got them, but they're in Outlook, they're not in Partner, they're all over the place, they're in Excel spreadsheet. I take all those excuses, but frankly, they're rubbish, okay? Because when Matt was talking about the low-hanging fruit, I was taught this by one of my business mentors. It's called milk your own cows, right? Why walk up the road to somebody else's farm and milk their cows when you've got all these cows with loads of milk, okay? So the issue with this is we have clients, they have bought stuff from us, those percentages are spot on in my world. We don't talk to them enough. We don't ask them to buy more stuff. And if we were doing a session on email marketing, some of you will have seen me do this before, I drew 3 circles and we have 3 audiences. The message to Nick, as somebody who's never spent a penny with me, is different than my message to Scott and to Steph and other people. And my message to the partner group, Gillian and Mark and Simon, is different again, but we do lots of email marketing. So if we ramp up our email marketing, in all of our emails are trackable links like this. And what MailChimp will do, because you give it first name, last name, and email address, it will embed that trackable link in the link in the email. Who really pays attention when they click on a link to what the URL is? Anybody? Geeks? Okay. I mean, some of us we do, but a lot of times we've got this browser that's so full of stuff we don't even see the URL, or if it's a long URL, the hidden bit is off the screen anyway. So we're not really looking at that. But we can also track via downloads. So Eric Robinson, who are a client of ours, have got 10 tips booklets. It's a shameless copy of the kind of marketing that we do, but it works. And if you fill in this form, you're going to give me your name and your email address. That will then be embedded by the tracking code in the cookie, and at that point, I've got you. All right? Because unless you clear cookies and everything else, I know who you are, I know what you've looked at. So even if we add this tracking code 3 months ago, these computers are being tracked. Right? Every time they come to my website, they're being tracked. And then if I can get you to download something or click on a link in an email, then I know who you are, and it will join up all of those visits previously. All right? So you can add the tracking code now and not do anything for 3 months because the computers are being tracked. And at the point when Nick clicks on a link in an email, because I say, win a free iPad, which is a piece of email marketing we did to our clients earlier this year, and we still only got 50% of the buggers to open it. I'm not looking at anybody particularly in the room, I'm just going to scan. Okay? And then when I phoned up somebody to test it, it wasn't Scott, but it was Scott's kind of personality. He said, but David, you're a cheapskate. It was probably a Wi-Fi only version. It actually was Wi-Fi only. Anyway, so I learned a lesson there. But the idea with this is, we're just doing more of this email marketing. If I can get you to click on a link, then I know who you are. If you've got an online chat window from this product called Candy, if somebody fills in that kind of feedback, it starts to track them at the individual level as well. So let's go on and look at this live. Right, enough with PowerPoint. So this is the dashboard. I've got it configured so you can see the rough look of what it shows you. If I just dive to my email, this morning, there's always high risk opening one's email in front of 50 people or whatever. This is an email alert that tells me somebody's downloaded a tips booklet off my website. Okay, so it tells me their name, their email address, phone number. Because if your content is valuable enough, people will give up personal information. Okay? Think of your website like a jam donut. The outside is the sugar. I don't need to know who you are, and you don't need to pay any money. The dough, the next level down, you need to give me some information, the barest minimum. I don't need your height, your weight, sex, or anything else. I just need name and email address. All right? And then the jam is the stuff in the middle, the things you might pay for. So think extra employment information. Peter, what you're starting to do with my FJG, with online docs, that's from the Cohen brothers, is it? Direct Law? Evident. Oh, it's the Evident, is it? Oh, okay. I like them. Good product. So that email, that is from that person there. Okay? So what this tells me when I click through to this record, it tries to take the email address and match it up with a person elsewhere on the web. And if it finds a photograph, it will show me happy smiley person. Okay? It tells me it's their first visit today and that they've had 12 activities. It tries to geolocate the IP address of the computer network they're using. And now I can start to do some things here. So I'll talk you through what we do in our business and what we're talking about with clients as well. This is somebody I don't know. In my sales world, we call them a prospect, not a future client, right? It's different. So at this point, I can flag them as a prospect. Okay, I'm gonna have to give up and put my glasses on. Right, so I flag that, that flags them as a prospect. That means I can track them in a slightly different stream, as it's called within Candy. I can then assign them to a young, hungry salesperson called Rich. He is upstairs, he is in an orange shirt. He feels it much better than I do, if you've not noticed him, ladies. And I'm going to assign it to Rich. At this precise moment, Rich is getting an email alert showing him all this data that this person has been assigned to him. In our world, the process we've refined over the last 7 years of doing content marketing is, and some of you have fallen for this, you get a phone call between 1 and 3 hours after you've downloaded something off our website, and it's very gentle. It says, "Hi Scott, it's David from Conscious, did the booklet download okay?" Not, "Do you want to buy something?" Okay, because you get a bit scared. So what you don't do with this technology is you don't say, "Hi Amira, at 10 a.m. this morning you downloaded a booklet off our website," right? Because that tends to get you hung up on or shot, because that's just a bit too much information. And then if I go further down this screen, what you'll start to see here is what they've downloaded, which is a buying signal, and how they got to our website, and more data on exactly what they did on this or any other visit. So all of these visits here are dated the 20th of November. But I see exactly which pages they looked at, which tells me, broadly speaking, additionally what they're interested in, what they've looked at, what they might be interested in buying. So which gives us really good sales opportunities. But this could be cross-selling for existing clients. It could be the stimulus to have a conversation with somebody about what you know they're interested in. Even if we're not in sales mode, it's an excuse to call somebody. So let me just go back up and I'm going to show Steph. So what this shows is, can't match up your email address with Happy Smiley Steph from LinkedIn or anything else. Okay, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. If the company name isn't quite right, we can edit. These little pen icons here allow us to edit things. But it also shows me Steph's first visit was August, which is about when we first loaded up this, this tracking code. Again, it tries to geolocate, it's far from perfect. Now in this case, Steph's relationship manager in my business is a guy called Chris Pierce. So the 1 hour a day process is somebody needs to be looking at this and doing that kind of assignment. You can do some auto assignment as well. So if you've got a list of domains that you know belong to a certain person, you can load those up and it will auto assign to somebody. Right? So there are ways of minimizing even that 1 hour. But at some level, somebody has to do something with the data. They have to be able to go and look at it. In this case, we go and look up that person in our CRM system. We then assign them to the relationship manager, and it's their job to make an intelligent decision. Do I want to phone that person, have a conversation? Or does it get kicked back into our marketing bucket who say, put them on the newsletter for whatever type thing because they're interested in whatever that might be? And again, we can categorize these people, so we can assign them, we can share that information, so I could actually email that to somebody, say, hey, look, Frank's been on the website, take a look at what he viewed. And then we can set up tags. So in this case, they've been identified as a client, that's the tag they've been added to. But you could tag them in other ways. You could tag them as a high net worth individual. You could tag them by some kind of sector. Show me all the people who've looked at certain things. So this is right down at the individual level. But the key thing to all of this is you have to do something to get people to open an email and click or fill in a form and download something. All right? Otherwise, they're just an anonymous visitor. Now, even with that level, we can check anonymous and business levels. But let me just show you the bottom end of this record then here. So these are all the pages that Steph has looked at, all the pages on our site here, right back to through October, through September. So we have one client who is just looking at this as what they describe as a comfort blanket. Right? If nothing else, they know that when they do this email marketing, people are coming to the website. Now, those of you that do email marketing, it's MailChimp or Constant Contact or something, or you're doing it with Connect, okay? Doing it with the ticket product, whichever way it is. You can track opens and you can track click-throughs, right? You can do that with all the email marketing products, which is great because I can get a report that says these are all the people that have opened this email. But it doesn't tell you what happens tomorrow. It doesn't tell you what happens next week, which is the interesting bit. Because if you believe that law is either at one end of the spectrum, a distressed purchase, oh my God, they're suing me, I'm going to phone somebody, or I want to leave him and I'm going to think about that a bit longer, then we want people to come back. So where you start to combine this with other marketing techniques, if some of you may be doing this already, is with Google AdWords, you can do what's called remarketing. So these are the scary ads that follow you around the web, the ones you all get annoyed at. Most people don't even know that it's going on. Well, if you combine email marketing with Google remarketing, so they see the email, they open it, they click through, but then they forget, but then they've been to your website, so the remarketing stream takes over, and that reminds them once a day by showing them an advert. And then at some point when they click back to the website, you know then what they looked at, and they looked at the same thing a week apart, is good news. And maybe that's the trigger that says we phone them at that point, we don't bother them the very first day. Now, the one stream of work that we have discussed with clients, which we're all pretty sure that we're never going to be doing this kind of advertising is, so it's perfect timing. I was looking at the Stowe Family Law website. If my wife is looking over my shoulder and sees an advert for a divorce lawyer on my computer, in my world, she's probably not panicking because this is what I do for a living. In your worlds, you might get a pan over the head. I'm not quite sure whichever way around it is. But there are certain streams of work. But with this kind of remarketing, you can control which adverts get seen for which pages. So if you know somebody's looked at a family law page, you could decide not to show an ad. A business law page, you show one advert. Some other kind of private client work, you show a different advert. Okay? But these are all adverts based on what I've been looking at. I was looking at the Reed site in the last week or so, and I was looking at the Stowe Family Law site about 10 days ago. So with this, you can control the recency and the frequency. But the aim is to get people to our site to click and look at things. Now, we can also do that by streaming people. So at this level, you see I've got about 500 identified visitors out of 18,000, but we've also got 5,000 identified companies. Now, this is a bit harder to pull off. We've got a particular quirk with our website where we get 3,000 people a month coming to a page on our website of the top 200 law firms, which is 100% more traffic than I get to the entire rest of the website. It's just a particularly effective page from a search engine perspective. But you'd see a slightly cleaner list than this, because what I'm trying to do now is go through this list and work out which businesses are ones that I should be interested in. Okay? And some of these names make sense to me, some of them don't. But Iveson Solicitors, okay. So this is a business. It hasn't been identified as an individual at this point. Okay? So it's Iveson Solicitors. I could now go across to my CRM system, look up that business, see if I know anybody from that business. Did we meet them at an event in the last week or two? And if I have, maybe that's the same person. So let's go look up those people in Google. And slightly worrying that I can't find a real website with that name. Maybe it's one of the clones that people have been panicking about recently. I don't know. So at this situation then, I can assign these in the same way. I can look down the bottom at exactly what they've looked at. Okay, they did a Google search, came to the website. I can do the same thing where I can flag them as a prospect and assign them to Rich. And if that business comes back, so the business level is tracking the IP address of their internal network. Okay, so I don't know who in that business. Could be one of 5 or 10 people. I've assigned that to Rich, he gets an email alert. But if that same person comes back, it'll be tracked. But Rich's job now, because they're a true prospect, we don't know who they are, we may not have any history, is to go research that law firm. If we can't find them just in Google, where do we go next? Sorry, Matt, we do go to the Find Us list directly on the Law Society website. We do look up who we think the primary contact might be. We do add them into CRM. We do then clean that data so we haven't really pinched it, obviously. And then we might do some marketing to them. But if we know there's an obvious target, it was somebody we met at an event 2 weeks ago, we can trigger a piece of marketing. It might be an old-fashioned print direct mail, it may or may not be email, it may or may not be a phone call. Trigger something to that business in the hope that they respond to us.